Hello, it's Emma Vigeland with TYT Politics, and of course, the legendary Jordan Sheridan. We are doing a Skype interview with each other, I guess, because we were having a debate back and forth over the recent Elizabeth Warren showdown with the Wells Fargo CEO in the Senate committee, and I was a little more enamored with Elizabeth Warren's takedown of said CEO. Jordan had a bit of a different response. So I wanted to start off with, yes, I know that a lot of these politicians are corrupt, but I have always looked up to Elizabeth Warren. I always thought that she was a badass woman. I always thought Elizabeth Warren was the firebrand that I looked up to as someone who was always a political junkie. And I was really pleased to see her get back into her regular form and go after the bankers like she so wonderfully does.
Since this massive years-long scam came to light, you have said repeatedly, quote, "I am accountable." But what have you actually done to hold yourself accountable? Have you resigned as CEO or chairman of Wells Fargo?
The board, I serve at
Have you resigned?
No, I've not.
All right. Have you returned one nickel of the millions of dollars that you were paid while this scam was going on?
Well, first of all, this was by 1% of our people.
That's not my question. My question is about responsibility. Have you returned one nickel of the millions of dollars that you were paid while this scam was going on?
The board will take care of that.
Have you returned one nickel of the money you earned while this scam was going on?
And the board will do.
I will take that as a no then. Have you fired a single senior executive? And by that, I don't mean a regional manager or a branch manager. I'm asking about the people who actually led your community banking division or your compliance division.
We've made a change in our regional, to lead our regional bank.
I just said, I'm not asking about regional managers. I'm not asking about branch managers. I'm asking if you have fired senior management, the people who actually led community banking division, who oversaw this fraud, or the compliance division that was in charge of making sure that the bank complied with the law.
Carrie Toll said.
Did you fire
No.
any of those people? No. Okay. So you haven't resigned. You haven't returned a single nickel of your personal earnings. You haven't fired a single senior executive. Instead, evidently, your definition of accountable is to push the blame to your low-level employees who don't have the money for a fancy PR firm to defend themselves. It's gutless leadership.
But Jordan obviously had a different reaction.
Well, this isn't to say like Elizabeth Warren is dead to me forever, and I don't agree with what she did. Obviously, I agree with slamming a corrupt bank CEO who basically ran a scam and essentially threw all his lower-paid workers under the bus. So it's not an issue of is this Wells Fargo person wrong? Of course he is. And Elizabeth Warren, if you wanna watch someone and who gives you a tickle or a thrill up your leg like Chris Matthews, yeah, Elizabeth Warren does a good job. But you know who else talked very progressively many years ago and gave me a thrill up my leg and now supports the TPP? Barack Obama. So I think Elizabeth Warren, to me, it's the old saying, actions speak louder than words. Is the world black or white? No. But the bottom line is Elizabeth Warren raised her profile as a progressive because she wasn't another politician. She wasn't another bullshit artist. And she was coming for the banks or anybody else who was screwing the middle class. Now, I actually would have had more respect for Elizabeth Warren if she came out during the primaries and endorsed Hillary Clinton. I wouldn't have understood it, but at least she would have put herself out there and hopefully explained why. The fact that Elizabeth Warren, during the biggest fight of this century, for a real progressive vision for America, went to Dunkin' Donuts, chilled for 6 months in Massachusetts, let the primary go by, let Bernie Sanders go up there with, Jeff Merkley as his only Senate endorsement, and then pretty much right when it was very clear Bernie Sanders was not going to be the nominee, then she came out for Hillary Clinton. It's spineless. That was spineless. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here like the rest of the media and heap praise over Elizabeth Warren because she was so brave to chew out a Wells Fargo CEO. My dog could have done that. I would have trained him to.
Jordan, but if it's so brave, then why does no one else in the Senate do it? She's the only attack dog that we have against those corporate shills, essentially, and those CEOs. And she also had the gumption, unlike Barack Obama, who was a relatively unknown person at the time, who actually was working with Hillary Clinton, and she was his essentially mentor before he became president. She went up against the corporate Democrats, and especially when they wanted to do amendments to Dodd-Frank and stuff like that. Elizabeth Warren, in her grunt work and in her actual tangible legislation, was not trying to make friends and didn't try to do stuff like that. I mean, I know that we differ on how important the CFPB was and stuff like that. And yes, she did fight with Obama because she wanted to be the head of it, but Obama wanted to water it down, and he didn't want someone like her to be at the head of it. That goes to show that she's substantially more progressive. And yeah, I'm disappointed that she didn't endorse Bernie Sanders in the primary, but I think once, we can all get really caught up in the presidential election and the hoopla that goes around with that. When all of that goes away, then you have people actually doing stuff, and she's the only one in that committee that called out the.
No. That's what you're not getting. This isn't about this is much bigger than the presidential election. Of course, logistically, it happened during the presidential election. This is about, are you a politician that is mainly focused on yourself and your next move, your next position, your future, or is your paramount concern the American people?
Then Bernie.
Wait. I let you finish. Bernie Sanders, until Michigan, this is a known fact. He thought he was going to lose, but he ran for president anyway. He gave up a year of his life, not thinking he'd actually win the presidency, but because he believed so truly in these positions. Elizabeth Warren, I'm not saying she's no longer progressive. I'm also not saying she hasn't done great things, but yes, there's not anybody else that I know other than Bernie that would go chew out a Wells Fargo CEO the way she did. But it's not like a small thing like, yeah, let's just move on. It happened during the election. Elizabeth Warren, the brand that she held was she was above politics. She does not have that. She cannot have this perch that she is a warrior for the progressive cause, because to me and to many people, the biggest fight for the progressive cause, she chose politics over progressivism. I mean, if you want to debate that, we can, but she chose whatever was in her mind. I think she miscalculated that Hillary Clinton was definitely going to win, and she thinks the Clinton administration will do business with her. She's going to be sorely mistaken, because the Clinton, as we know, are transactional, and once her use is done, they will throw her out. But at the end of the day, I care more about what you do, not what you say. So, of course, it's entertaining to watch her chew out a bank CEO. I agree, there's not many. There are some who would go after him on the Democratic side. But to me, it's almost like amnesia that nobody's remembering. Where was that fervor for Bernie Sanders? We've had this discussion. You don't think if she endorsed Bernie Sanders and Bernie lost, that the Clintons would be more than happy to forget that and bring her into the fold? So to me, it's bigger than just that she left Bernie at the altar. It's Elizabeth Warren presented herself as a politician. And I think that's where we disagree, because you could speak for yourself, but I think you kind of are okay with that. I'm not. I think if you're going to develop a brand over the years and get a very loyal following, that you're above politics, that you ran, she gave that famous speech when she was running, your goods were taken to market by America, and you didn't build it by yourself. She was a progressive warrior, but you know what? To me, when you're tested and when it's not politically expedient and when it's not clear you're going to win, if you don't show up, I think that says a lot.
Well, then do you make that same exact argument for Bernie, who didn't show up for Canova, who didn't show up for Alan Grayson, who was the third person in the House to endorse Bernie Sanders? I think it's an impossible standard. So who in the country then meets your standard? Like, Bernie doesn't meet it. Bernie doesn't meet it.
Well, Bernie, I think that situation is a little more nuanced. Number one, Bernie, I call it, like I said with Elizabeth Warren to begin this, it's not like she's dead to me forever. I'm talking about this one particular situation. So again, I'm not even saying like I don't like what she did. My whole critique is that the media and wonderful progressives like you are heaping this sheepish praise on her and forgetting not so long ago that she left him at the altar. But on the Bernie with Grayson and Canova, I came out very strongly. You were with me on the road against that. But frankly, no disrespect to Tim and Alan Grayson, like Tim and Alan Grayson's race was not the presidential election. Tim and Alan Grayson didn't arouse millions of Americans to stand up, particularly young people. The stakes were not as high. Secondly, I think if you're going to not show up, you better have a damn good reason. Now, I happen to think the reason Bernie decided not to show up for Tim Canova is he has a long game in mind, which entails being the chairman of certain prestigious committees in the Senate. Doesn't make it right. I think he should have showed up anyway. But why didn't Elizabeth Warren show up for Bernie Sanders? Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'll speculate, like you, I'm sure have sources about that stuff, but I would speculate that she politically miscalculated and she thought that Clinton was inevitable. I think it's the same miscalculation that she made about not running. She could have wiped the floor with Hillary Clinton. She did not realize how disliked Hillary Clinton was. A lot of progressives and Democratic pundits, all of us, thought that maybe Hillary Clinton was inevitable, and this disheveled, Jewish socialist couldn't do what he ended up doing. And I think she miscalculated in two fronts: on not running and on thinking that Clinton was going to wipe the floor with Bernie. And I know that she could have done it right before the Massachusetts primary, but I think we differ on the fact that what the effect that her endorsement would have had. I mean, even if Bernie had won Massachusetts, do you think that he could have won the nomination?
Well, first off, I want to move back to something you said. I think the main thing we're differing here is in the keyword political calculation. Like, you seem okay that she simply is a politician and made a political calculation. I'm not okay with that. You could call me a black or whiter. You could call me, totally naive. I'm not dropping the age bomb, but I was 22 at one point, and I was into hardball and, the political maneuvering. I'm 30 and a lot more hardened now. I've seen too much.
You've dropped two Chris Matthews references, by the way, and I just want the audience to know I don't like Chris Matthews.
Whatever. This is how we argue in the car, by the way, so you know. I think the problem with this country, and a big reason Donald Trump, who's batshit crazy and a fraud, and Bernie Sanders, who's the opposite, rose up, is people are done just accepting, like, oh, it's politics. That's how, they sell us all down the river. So it is what it is. People are tired of that, even if it's Elizabeth Warren. Do I think what she did, not endorsing Bernie Sanders, was the equivalent of Paul Ryan's, growth plan, which would kill, which would pretty much, kill poor people? No, I don't. Again, I don't think she's a bad person. If she was running in 4 years, I would definitely consider her. But to me, I don't like selective amnesia. I think Elizabeth Warren going to bash Wall Street CEO over bad behavior, then tweeting about it to get some self-promotion, then going on the Rachel Maddow show. Yeah, that's very easy, and that's her hallmark. But where I want to know, are you going to be there when the fight's not easy? When are you going to toss politics to the side because you believe in something bigger than that, which is the progressive nature, the progressive movement? And by the way, it's not like she endorsed, Lincoln Chafee over Bernie Sanders. Everything that you say you stand for, Elizabeth Warren, it was like night and day. It's not like she went up on the stage like Bernie Sanders and said, frankly, we don't agree on a lot of things, but she just went up there and it was like night is day. The sky is purple, and essentially said Hillary Clinton's great, when Hillary Clinton has been in bed with the banks that Elizabeth Warren was just railing against, that you loved. So bottom line is, be consistent. And you know what? Like I said, if she was going to endorse Hillary Clinton, I wouldn't have liked it, but at least I would have appreciated that you did it during the primary. You put your position out there. And I don't want, if I'm going to follow someone into battle politically, whether you're a journalist covering it or a supporter, I want to know that person is showing up, for the important battle, not trying to just determine which battle she could win. because you're not going to win every battle, but that's how you win a war. You lose battles first, and then you win the war. Secondly, I just went on such a rant. I forgot what you were saying. I also think when it comes to Elizabeth Warren, it's not only that she miscalculated, but I think that she, in some ways, didn't really understand the mood of the country. Because I think what Bernie Sanders understood, and he understood this early on, was there was a real fever pitch. Do I think Elizabeth Warren not endorsing him would have caused him to win? No. He definitely would have won Massachusetts. He lost by less than 2 points. She is beloved in Massachusetts. And frankly, Bill Clinton showed up at a polling station and slowed things down all day. He would have won Massachusetts. On the night of the Massachusetts primary, it was one of those Super Tuesdays. It would have been, I believe, check me on this, if he won Massachusetts, Hillary Clinton would have won 3, he would have won 2. I think Elizabeth Warren, not that Bernie Sanders needed help getting young people, but I think when you have a name brand politician, a very popular politician stumping with you, going around the country. I love Rosario Dawson. I love Cornel West. I love, all the people that went around for Bernie. But Elizabeth Warren packs a different firepower. I also think, frankly, Bernie, sometimes politicians need a little light up their ass. I think Elizabeth Warren would have made him fight a little harder and rolling up his sleeves. Again, I don't think he would have won. So that's not what this argument's about. But I think at the end of the day, Elizabeth Warren, to me, painted herself as above politics, painted herself as someone who got into this because she sees injustice going on in America. And when she had an opportunity to really stand up and fight with someone who feels the same way, she didn't.
I mean, we don't disagree. I say that I wish that she endorsed Bernie Sanders very early on. They are obviously a match made in heaven in terms of the progressive movement. They are the 2 most progressive senators in the country. I just think that it's time to move beyond it, because at this point, there's no way that we can go back in time. And maybe if we were to ask her in an interview, and when we're that big, when we get to interview her in 2 years, that she may have made a mistake. She may have admitted that she made a mistake. But I think once it's been months now, and now she's actually doing tangible things, whether you want to be cynical and say it's for publicity or not, if we're really fighting for policy and politicians who are going to help the American people in the best way possible, then I think condemning her for actions that happened months ago is counterintuitive, because Bernie Sanders also makes political calculations, and every politician in the country does that. When we interviewed Tim Canova, he is extremely progressive, and he didn't go all in on Israel because of the fact that the constituents in that particular district are heavily very Jewish. So you can still be extremely progressive and make political calculations, and you can still take wins when they come to you. And I mean, when you say that Elizabeth Warren didn't do the progressive fight when no one was watching, I don't really understand that, because her entire career has been, until she gained this international and national fame in the past year and a half or so, she was doing stuff when no one was watching. And she became the firebrand progressive senator after the CFPB was passed, which was the grunt work. So yes, now she has achieved that recognition, but I don't think that every political move that she's made in the Senate was for.
I didn't say when nobody was watching. I said when it was hard.
Right, it was hard. It was always hard in the Senate with the Republican obstructionism and the corporate Democrats. She was the only one sticking up.
I'm talking about when, for her, it would have been politically suicidal to do something. For her, when it would have been possibly push her back in her career. For her, when it was very clear there was no victory in sight. Fighting for the consumer financial. I mean, I think that's great. I've already said at the beginning of this, I'm not condemning the things she has done in the past or the future. What I'm saying is you can't. I don't believe this is like, all right, my girlfriend cheated on me, but I love her and she was drunk, so I need some time, but I love her, and I believe it's not going to happen again. There's also different levels of political calculation. Like I said, Bernie choosing not to go down for Tim Canova, I didn't like it, but it doesn't erase 40 years of him doing the right thing. He was not showing up you think Bernie Sanders, if it was reversed and Elizabeth Warren was running against Hillary Clinton, you think Bernie Sanders was going to forget endorse Hillary Clinton, but not be active for Elizabeth Warren? If you think that,
No,
stop.
no,
There you
I
go.
know.
So like this was a different level of political calculation. By the way, there's never been an insurgent candidate that had the success of Bernie Sanders. So again, I think she didn't understand the moment, and I think she shrunk from the moment. You could talk about Alan Grayson and Tim Canova and these things. Yeah, I think he did the wrong thing, but it's not. I don't see it on the same stratosphere. Secondly, to tell you the truth, I don't know if I could trust Elizabeth Warren if it is President Clinton to fight vehemently against her. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, you shrunk during this fight. What political calculations will she make? You know, if Hillary Clinton's willing to get in a room with her, is she willing to compromise on certain things with her perch in the
Well,
Senate?
she fought Obama.
It's okay.
She fought Obama, who's more, in theory, progressive than Hillary Clinton. So why not?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point, but that was before this. What I'm saying is, I think within Elizabeth Warren, to me, something changed because again, you seem to think her screaming at a Wall Street CEO, it's great for the cable news cycle, it's great for YouTube, it's great for progressives, but that's not actually doing something. Like that's a glorified viral photo op. So I'm not discrediting her for doing it. I think it's great, but I want to know. If you didn't show up for this fight, I want to know what fights are you going to show up for if it's President Clinton? Because talk is cheap. What she did the other day, you might disagree. I don't find it to be a bastion of bravery. I think that's her brand. If that's what she believes, and you know what? There's a lot of political capital in doing that because you know what? There's a lot of hatred towards Wall Street. We're not disagreeing that Elizabeth Warren is still actively seeking progressive legislation. What I'm disagreeing on is heaping lavish praise on her for screaming at a Wall Street banker and frankly forgetting when you say it's time to move on, I don't think what she did is something that you're just going to move on from because she forget Bernie Sanders, okay? She really, I think, abandoned her supporters because her supporters are who supported Bernie Sanders. Now, Bernie Sanders, to me, would not have won the election with Elizabeth Warren's endorsement. We already went over that. But Elizabeth Warren, for all the good things she does, this is not just like a little mulligan that you move on from. I think that's where we disagree. Yeah. I think she didn't understand the moment. I don't think you could equate the presidential election, where frankly, Bernie Sanders, if a few things went a different way, I don't know if he would have won, but it would have been a lot closer. You also I think you're underestimating what Elizabeth Warren getting in the fight, how that's a domino effect for other people possibly to get in for Bernie Sanders. The bottom line is most politicians are cowards and most operatives are cowards, and it's a game of self-preservation. And the fact that the most likely politician, but also progressive, that would stand by Bernie Sanders' side, didn't. I think doomed him. I mean, you're showing up against the entire establishment with, again, it's no disrespect, but entertainers and celebrities. You don't have the political firepower behind you. So I think that at the end of the day, I admire Warren. I think it's genuine when she's yelling at the banker. I think she's going to continue trying to create strong regulation. But the bottom line is Elizabeth Warren she's not going to be the president. Hillary Clinton might. And she, at a point, had a chance to, if not alter that result, at least put in where she stood. And she didn't. So the next time she yells at someone, I'll say the same thing until my heart is healed. And I don't know if it ever will be. I'm a lot more cynical than you. I think maybe with time, you have to admit on the road, you have seen up close some more things that have really made you realize, wow, these people are corrupt. Not that you didn't know it already.
No, of course. And you know, that's a part of my evolution as well. But I would actually, you know, what you're saying kind of reinforces how I feel about it, is that I don't want to discredit or discount when people are actually fighting for the stuff that we believe in just because we disagree with a decision that this person made in the past. I want to take these wins. I'm excited when we have senators that are actually representing us. And I don't care if she wants it for a photo op. I don't care if she wants to put it on her Facebook page and have it go viral. The fact that she is actually doing it, and the fact that she is the only one in that committee that has any line of questioning that's somewhat difficult of these CEOs is encouraging to me. And I'm excited to take that win. And, you know, maybe I'm going to grow up and start to hate her as well. But for right now, no, I know. I don't want to mischaracterize.
I don't hate her. But if I did interview her and she started waffling like she did during the campaign, I mean, it's not only that she didn't endorse Bernie. I mean, she was really, I hate to be harsh, but she was a coward about it. I mean, she was questioned in interviews and she stuttered and blah, 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 and she was a politician. So what I'm saying to you is, yes, even Bernie Sanders makes political calculations. I could accept that. But at the end of the day, the progressive cause, and when you have a moment to really compete for that progressive cause and put it to the forefront and you shrink from it, you go down many notches in my belt. And, you know, nice viral photo ops. I don't feel the same way I used to. I think that's what we're disagreeing on. Yeah, I think what you did is great. I do. But the problem is, here's the problem, to button it up. The person that she ended up endorsing and the person that she didn't join Bernie Sanders in fighting does not agree with her.
Right.
No matter what Hillary Clinton says to get elected, she is not going to go after that Wells Fargo banker. She's just not. You want to know why? Because she wants to get reelected, and she has the 1980s, 90s mindset that I'm going to get reelected by taking more money from Wall Street. So she's not going to do anything of substance. So when Elizabeth Warren had a chance to have a say in who would be the president, because Elizabeth Warren's great, but nothing she's going to do in the Senate is going to put a real dent. It's just not. In
but
Wall
you don't
Street,
think the CFPB did anything? Like, that is her baby.
No, it did, but
that's
I mean,
like tangible
have you
stuff.
Seen what? Have you seen? Do you know that Wall Street is still doing
of course.
these mortgage-backed securities? You know, they're now packaging student loans. So, like, yes, there's progress, but I'm also, this is another debate. I'm not down with incrementalism. I'm not down with gradualism. I'm not down with neoliberalism. You know what? Gradualism and incrementalism is code for?
Not doing anything.
You know what that's
sitting
code
on
for?
your ass.
Yeah, just let's accept that politics is politics. We have to blow the people that write the checks. So take take the little broccoli and the little like new dishes around the plate, but the main meal, it's going to take a while.
But her public shaming of this Wells Fargo CEO, by the way, now Republicans are going on board with saying, yeah, maybe we should press criminal charges. So that does have tangible consequences. It does.
Emma, the moment that a Republican in the United States Senate or House go on record saying they want a Wall Street banker criminally prosecuted, I will come on here with flowers and say you're right.
Great. I look forward to it. Although I have no faith that that's going to happen either. But
save the videotape. Now, audience, it's up to you. Don't crush Emma if you don't agree with her. She's a brave soul. I'm a very obnoxious dude, and I interrupted her a lot. So even if you disagree with her, be nice. She's a strong progressive. But maybe you agree with her. I don't know. So the jury is out. We're going to do this more often about things. And this is a preview for what happens in the car. So, and the hotel and a lot of different places we argue. So leave your comments down there and keep watching youtube.com/DYT Politics. Thanks, Emma.